Right, so I'll start off by saying, why zombies? Well, I actually want to talk about the power of stories. The stories we're told, the stories we tell other people, and the stories we tell ourselves. I'm going to do that by talking a little bit about my story, probably a little narcissistically, and also to explain why I'm here and not in a United Nations base in Sudan. But we'll get to that. So for me, the first story that I was told came from my family. That's me and my little sister. We both have exactly the same haircut. I'm the one with the stick stood up. And it came from my family. My parents were the first generation to go to university, both working class, Irish, Spanish. My dad, for me, he's the Spanish version of Jackie Chan. He's been doing martial arts his entire life. My mum's a teacher. While I was growing up, she taught in some of the worst schools in Sheffield. And my granddad. And now my granddad was the soul of the family. Always told stories. Told stories about running away to join the war, and then later to run away to sell donkeys. And from them, from the commitment, the care, and the passion I got from my family, I had an incredibly supportive family, supportive environment growing up. And the story I was told was that you can do and be anything. It's incredibly positive. But of course, not every story we're told, not every story we tell ourselves is positive. It can be negative. We tell ourselves some negative things sometimes. And the first story that actually came from me, the first narrative that I created, was negative. I was 15. I told myself I didn't care about anything. Started smoking weed, drinking, stopped going to school. And, it's teenage rebellion. That's fine. It happens. But for me, I actually grew it on and carried on doing this. I ended up dropping out of 2 universities. I moved away from family and friends. I didn't see my family or friends for years at a time. And this story got so strong. It lasted 10 years. It wasn't until I was 25. And I was telling everyone else outside of me, outside of myself, that I was experiencing the world. I was doing new things, experiencing new things. And externally, yeah, it was interesting. One night I might sleep under a bridge. Another night I'd be in a 5-star hotel and traveling all over the world, working as well. But internally, all I was doing was repeating the same patterns of selfish behavior. Constantly. But this story, it grew incredibly strong. Like I say, it lasted 10 years. And so when my granddad actually fell ill, it took me a long time to process that. It took me a long time to actually come home and see him. And I was lucky enough to see him before he passed away. That was great. Well, great as that moment can be, of course. And when I came back, that story that I'd built up for 10 years just shattered. Of course it did. I do care about things. And I realized that the one thing I needed to do was to help myself get out of this funk, grow out of this. I needed to help myself, but I couldn't do it in the same way I'd been doing for the last 10 years, making money, trying to make money, trying to find girls, whatever it was, quite selfishly. I needed to do it to help other people. So the thought I had in my head was I need to help myself by helping others. I didn't have a clue what I was going to do, but that was just the thought that came into my head. And a few months after my granddad passed away, I travelled around Ireland. He's the Irish granddad. And in Ireland, I met a family in a small town called Dingle. And the husband of the family was away. And the family told me, they started telling me this story about the husband. And he was walking from Copenhagen to Amsterdam to raise money for a cerebral palsy charity. And immediately I was hooked. This idea is so simple. It's just pure simplicity. He's walking. He's also helping himself, thinking about himself, reflecting. Okay, I need a bit of that. And he's doing it to help other people. He's doing it for a good cause. I was completely hooked on it, this story that I was told. And by the end of the day, in an Irish pub, of course, I told myself that I was going to walk from Sheffield to South Africa for water. Now, it's a bit of a leap. It's quite a massive leap, to be fair. But to me, it just kind of fit, and just sat there chatting with these people I'd never met before and just exploring this idea of, well, I need time to think about myself. I need to sort myself out. I've been a bit of a dick, to be fair. Anyway, moving on, sorry. So I need time to reflect, think about myself, sort myself out. Yeah, but I need to do it in a way that is kind of helping me grow as well. I need to do it for someone else. So this simple idea of walking, thinking about yourself, then talking to other people, connecting diverse communities by something so everyday as walking, mixed with a basic need of water, It's the first step for development. Any developing community which doesn't have access to clean water, you introduce clean water, and the situation, the context changes completely. So immediately, great, this is what I'm going to do. I haven't got a clue how to do this. So I came back to Sheffield and, thinking about it, trying to grow the idea. And I realized I don't have a clue what I'm doing. I don't know anything about logistics. I don't know how to measure impacts in charitable projects. So I needed to talk to other people. So I started telling other people about it. And the first person I told who wasn't friends or family was this lady, Sally Priest. She's not here today, unfortunately, and she'll kill me if she found out I did this. She was the first person I ever talked about this with. I met in a little cafe, the Rood Shipyard, and just went down, sat down and said, hello, I'm Liam. I've decided to walk to South Africa for water. Can you help? She started off going, yeah, I might do a few hours a week. Within a year, she was volunteering full-time, just like me. And we realized that not only talking between us, and talking with countless other people, getting in expert advice, that we actually, to do this the right way, to make sure we can track every donation to its use, to both benefit donors and ourselves for accountability and transparency, but also to deliver the outcomes that people need on the ground, we're going to set up our charity ourselves. Named after the walk, I guess, the Longwell Walk, but to track donations to where they're used in a project, and also to deliver the best outcomes by working hand in hand with local organizations to build their capacity to manage future projects. So a two-pronged strategy. Okay, so we're going to do this. And this is now 2012. And at this point, there's a couple of us, and we started fundraising. We decided to register as a charity. We registered as a charity. We set up a trading arm subsidiary to raise more funds. Everything we could do, we were doing. And at the same time as working 2 other jobs to sustain myself, I had to then set up this bloody thing, which is a 16-country, never been done before expedition. Again, didn't have a clue what I was doing. But started building it. And of course, overworked, manic. Building the route, getting the kit. Actually, Pi Maroney helped out with that as well, so thanks, Paul. Building the kit, getting everything ready as much as possible. And before I knew it, it was 2 years had gone by and this crescendo of activity had come to March 22nd this year, and it was time to leave. So I set off from Sheffield, nice goodbye from everybody in the city centre. And it was great first day. And then the walk carried on, and it was really hard. It was really hard. It was cold. In England, anyway. Yeah, they were amazing days. The generosity of people when you're just walking along and going, hello, I'm walking South Africa. You're doing what? Sound. Sound. Oh, free beer, lovely. That helped. But there was also scary days, I never thought that when setting off to leave to walk from Sheffield to South Africa, the one place I'd actually get attacked was outside of Derby, of everywhere. 2 guys with sticks on an M1 underpass in the rain. And some of the scary days were amazing days. So outside of Calais, I think you mentioned this before, there's migrant camps, large migrant camps. And I was walking through the camp, because obviously I had to walk, and I got stopped by a group of guys. And it's, these predominantly male, predominantly North African, and this guy kind of stared at me and just went, what are you doing here? And obviously in his mind, I can see him going, who is this idiot? There's a free bus service that takes you around that the French government paid for. What's he doing walking through our camp? And at this point, the story that I'd been telling myself, I'd been telling others, donors, beneficiaries, everybody, you think, God, I'm going to have to say this? I'm walking from Sheffield to South Africa for water. And the silence that went on was like just never ending. And now the 3 guys who stood up and asked me the first question were now surrounded by about 40 guys in a camp that's made out of plastic sheeting, and there's thousands of people, and everyone's listening in, looking at the crazy guy with the backpack. Yeah? I'm trying to think, should I say anything else? No, just roll it out, see what happens. And at the end, he just kind of looked me in the eye and just went, in French, you're an idiot. But yeah, you walk in the wrong direction. We just walked from there. And it's funny, but it's also pretty heartbreaking. Because then I walked out of the camp with him, and he explained the situation of what's going on in the camp. That the local council, whatever the French government term is, allow them to stay in the camp, but they're not allowed out of the camp. So then when I walked out of the camp, I got arrested by the French police for being an illegal immigrant. It's crazy. Obviously, this wasn't a typical day. It didn't happen every day. Most days, get up 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, eat a bit of porridge, whatever food I've managed to nab or find the day before. And then you're walking for 8, 10 hours. Try to do 20, 25, by the end a little bit more miles a day. 8, 10 hours by yourself. And you're just thinking. And you go over absolutely every thought, every conversation you've ever had, every relationship you've ever had, every mistake you've made in a relationship you've ever had. It's horrible. It gets pretty intense. And this descent, semi-descent into insanity, which was what it is. It just continues. And throughout it all, you're thinking, why am I doing this? What are the reasons why? And I knew the reason why. I'm doing this to help myself, to help other people. This is the core reason I'm doing it. Help others, to help myself. It's interchangeable at this point. And there reaches a point that Fiona Campbell, who walked around the world in the 1990s, calls the 50-day mark. So it's the point when you realize when you're exhausted, you're sore, you're tired, you're covered in blisters, everything's chafing, you've had bad food, you're not going to get a good night's sleep, it's going to rain, you're going to get wet, all your clothes are going to be wet. And you reach this point when you've done this for the last 50 days, but this is the only thing that's come in for the next 2 years. It's not a happy moment. For me, it happened about day 42, not day 50. She's much tougher than I am. And at that point, what she said is, the reasons why, they don't diminish in strength, but you need another tool to help you through. And both her, Fiona Campbell, and Ranulph Fiennes, the explorer, use the same tool, fantasizing. So for Fiona Campbell, she fantasized about decorating a house. At the beginning of her walks, maybe she'd spend half an hour thinking about decorating an entire house. And then a month or two in, or after 50 days in, I should say, she would spend an entire day thinking about which color lampshade would go in one room, getting really deep into these fantasies. Of course, she also fantasized about food, because you do. When you're eating couscous every night, you fantasize about so much food. And Ranulph Fiennes thought about sex, with his wife, not with his wife, whatever, and food. Now, I personally thought about all three, and they're great. Awkward moments walking through some villages, but that's another story. But the main thing for me to get through was zombies. Yeah, we've got to that point, zombies. Now the game, what would you do if zombies attacked, is something that I guess we've all played, sometimes lasts 20 minutes. When I was 15, it used to last 2 or 3 hours if I was high. But on this, during this walk, it lasted 3 months. I'm deleting an adjective there. It lasted 3 months. You get so intense into this game, this fantasy, that you're walking around and constantly the landscape is changing and changing. There's different variables, there's different weapons, different places to hide. Yeah, you go a little bit crazy, I'll be honest. And the good thing about it as well is obviously, if you're fantasizing about flesh-eating zombies chasing you, you walk a lot faster. And all of this stuff, it's got me through. I mean, as well as the internal monologues of going over relationships and zombies and all the rest of it, you're also walking along and you're talking to people, you're meeting people you've never seen before, and you're telling them about your story and the walk and the communities and the projects and what all this is all about, why you're doing it. And all of this got me as far as Naples, about 2,000 miles, southern Italy. And in Naples, I got an email from the trustees and directors, and it was titled Recommendations from Trustees. And basically it said, as you know, the sponsors pulled out. I was like, yeah, I know. Neither you or us have been able to plug the gap. You're going to have to come back to England and fundraise. And this is after 2 years of preparation and 5 months of walking away. Now I've got to fly home and fundraise. And to me, it was a kick in the gut. I mean, it was horrible. I've been planning this for almost 3 years. And is it a failure? That's the question that was going through my mind. And I had 3 weeks left to finish Europe, to get to the end of Europe. And during those 3 weeks, there was only that one question going through my mind. Is this a failure? And then I started thinking back, all the stories that have kind of taken over and controlled my life. So, the power of these stories. I thought about the first story I told to myself in a pub in Dingle. which was, I'm going to watch South Africa for water, and how that story had then changed and grown. It's changed to, I got attacked by zombies while walking to South Africa for water, to, I got attacked by zombies in France, which would never happen, while walking to South Africa to highlight the water and sanitation projects we'd already delivered, and to raise funds and awareness to deliver more, sorry. Now, this sentence is utterly ridiculous. It's irrational, it's illogical, and it's impossible. It's a joke. But it's something positive. And it has grown. But to me, this story, that sentence, walking South Africa, isn't the important part. The important part for me is why. And yeah, 3 years ago, I had the daft idea that I wanted to help myself while helping others. That grew interchangeable with helping others to help myself. But then it grew so much further with other people. And it turned into, we want to help others to help ourselves. We want to help ourselves by helping others. This interchangeable thing. So, if that's the story, not this walk in South Africa, which is utterly ridiculous, whichever way you look at it, if that's the story, has that been successful? Has it been a powerful story? And we're a tiny, tiny organization, But we are people who are just trying and building up that experience and doing, well, at this point, are we doing well? Have we done well? And over the last 3 years, or 2 years since we became an organization, small outcomes, but positive outcomes. We've helped 4,000 people in Eastern Africa get access to clean water and sanitation. We've had 400 volunteers come through our doors in Sheffield, all following the same story. We're now working in 7 different countries, including running a crowdfunding project in South Sudan, one of the riskiest countries in the world. We've got 2 staff. I'm not one of them, unfortunately, but we've got 2 staff. And it's not even finished. I mean, my part of the story, I'm heading out next year to finish the walk. And that's my personal part. But what that'll hopefully do is connect with all the stories of the communities along the way. And hopefully, the entire thing will keep on growing. Thank you very much.